Okay, let's get right into it. Today in this explainer, we are unpacking exactly how you can walk into that exam hall feeling absolutely confident and systematically dismantle what is, let's be honest, one of the most intimidating exams out there, AQA GCSE English Language Paper 1. We're going to completely strip away all that exam day panic together and replace it with pure, actionable strategy.
But first things first, we absolutely need to destroy a massive myth. I hear this literally all the time, people groaning, you can't actually revise for English language. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. Achieving top marks isn't about crossing your fingers and just hoping you get a really easy text on the day. No way. It is entirely about knowing exactly what the examiners expect, how the whole paper is put together, and radically revising your game plan. So let's set the stakes here. There are exactly 80 marks on the line, and that counts for a massive 50% of your total GCSE. You've got 1 hour and 45 minutes to grab as many of those marks as humanly possible. And the paper is split perfectly down the middle. 40 marks for Section A, which is your reading and analytical skills, and 40 marks for Section B, testing your creative writing.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the Paper 1 game plan, nailing those reading questions and dodging some really common reading traps. Then we'll shift gears to conquering creative writing, how to structure question 5, and finally leveling up your writing to lock in those top-tier marks.
Step 1. The Paper 1 game plan. Rethinking your exam approach.
Normally, you just sit down and tackle the paper chronologically, right? Question 1 straight through to 5. But I want you to seriously consider flipping the script and tackling question 5 first. Why? Well, question 5 is worth 40 marks. That is half the entire paper. Getting this massive creative writing task out of the way first is a huge strategic advantage. You want to be doing this when your brain is completely fresh, rather than rushing through it in a blind panic with only 15 minutes left on the clock. Secure those big marks right out of the gate, and then comfortably move on to the reading section. Before we actually jump into that reading section, though, we need to quickly decode some examiner jargon. AO2. It sounds complicated, but it's really just about language and structure analysis. The examiners aren't just looking for you to point out a metaphor like it's a game of bingo. They want you to explain how those specific words and structural choices actually create effects and make the reader feel a certain way. That emotional impact, that effect, that is exactly where the marks live.
Which brings us to Part 2, nailing the reading questions, tactics for Section A.
The absolute golden rule for this section is to only read the specific lines the question actually points you to. For question 1, think of it as a pure warm-up. You've got 5 minutes to grab 4 guaranteed easy marks. Honestly, treat it like a rapid-fire treasure hunt. Do not waste your precious time reading the entire text yet. Just zoom in on the lines mentioned, keep your answers incredibly short and simple, and just pull out the clear facts. If they ask about the weather, strictly hunt for facts about the weather. No analysis is needed here at all. Please, whatever you do, don't write a philosophical essay for question 1. Just find the facts, grab your 4 marks, and move on. Let's move to Part 3, dodging common reading traps. Basically, do this, not that. You know what's really frustrating? Seeing how easily students lose marks out of sheer panic. The absolute #1 trap is feature spotting without discussing the effect. If you just point out that a writer used a simile or a metaphor, but you stop there, you get 0 marks. You've got to adopt this formula: method plus evidence plus effect. Identify the device, drop in a short quote, and most importantly, explain what it suggests and why it actually matters in that exact moment of the story. If you took away your analysis of the effect and your point completely falls apart, that's how you know you're doing it right. And here's another massive trap: using super vague vocabulary to describe how the reader reacts. Calling a phrase effective or saying it makes the reader feel interested tells the examiner absolutely nothing. They hate that. You need to ditch those vague placeholder words and swap them out for precise adjectives. Does the text make the reader feel desperate, threatened, highly nostalgic? You've got to tie the precise emotion directly to the words the writer used. It proves to the examiner that you genuinely understand the emotional tone of the extract.
All right, Part 4, conquering creative writing, the question 5 boss level.
Let's break down the exact parameters of this beast. You've got 45 minutes for this task. The absolute smartest way to break that down is 5 minutes to plan, 35 minutes to actually write, and 5 minutes at the end to meticulously check your work. And keep in mind, starting in 2026, you'll only be asked to write either a description or a story opening, not a complete narrative where you have to rush some messy, chaotic ending. The secret to bagging those 24 content marks is to focus intensely on one strong idea, one specific setting, and one cohesive mood, and just develop it fully. Do not try to cram a whole action movie plot into 3 pages.
Now, I know we all want to impress the examiner with some incredibly fancy vocabulary, but listen, clarity is king. Writing that someone's eyes are percipient is super ambitious, sure, but if you spell it wrong or use it in the slightly wrong context, you actively lose marks. Describing those same eyes as sharp is safe, it's clear, and it's accurate. A simple, accurate word will literally always score higher than a highly complex word you fumbled. Focus on clarity first, and then maybe sprinkle in that advanced vocabulary only when you are 100% confident.
Part 5. Structuring your question 5. The 6-step narrative formula.
Blank page syndrome is very real, especially under pressure. So to stop you from freezing up, memorize this easily replicable structure. Step 1, drop in. Hit the reader instantly with a short dramatic sounder action. Step 2, panorama. Paint a wide picture of the setting using all your senses. Step 3, zoom in. Focus tightly on your main character's body language or their clothing. Step 4, zoom out to show a shift in the environment or some approaching action. Step 5, flash to a fractured memory that gets triggered by something in the scene. And finally, step 6, end exactly where you began. This creates a really satisfying cyclical structure, and it completely guarantees you showcase a wide variety of structural skills.
A brilliant way to execute that panorama step is by using the weather to instantly set the mood. Think about the stark contrast between, say, rain hammering violently, which uses these aggressive verbs to create a miserable, really tense atmosphere, versus a peaceful, butter yellow sun rising. Using sharp contrasts like that, engaging all 5 of the reader's senses, and deploying rich personification is the absolute fastest way to pull an examiner straight into your world.
Finally, Part 6, leveling up your writing, securing those crucial AO6 marks.
These are the rapid technical fixes that truly separate average grades from the very top grades. First, hunt down your comma splices. You cannot join 2 complete sentences with just a comma. You have to use a full stop or a semicolon. Second, during your 5 minutes of checking time, read your work silently in your head. Seriously, if your internal voice runs out of mental breath, your sentence is a chaotic run-on. Break it up. Third, keep your tenses consistent. Don't accidentally slip from the past tense into the present tense halfway through a paragraph. And finally, ensure your piece features a really clear moment of change or conflict so your writing actually has a purpose and goes somewhere.
And that brings us to a vital check for the very end of your writing. Always ask yourself, does the conclusion actually add something new? Whether you're wrapping up an evaluation in the reading section or you're landing the ending of your creative piece, you cannot simply repeat your introduction. Your writing has to have a trajectory. It needs to provide a clear resolution, a final lingering thought, or a turning point that leaves the examiner feeling totally satisfied with the journey you just took them on.
So, there we have it. We've covered the reverse order strategy, the specific reading tactics, avoiding the trap of feature spotting, and a totally bulletproof 6-step formula for your creative writing. The tools are all literally right here in front of you. So the final question for you to consider is this: will you let panic dictate your performance, or will you walk into that hall and coldly, calmly execute the game plan? Take absolute control of your exam destiny. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and best of luck out there.